All right, hey everyone, and welcome back to part three. I feel like I'm teaching elementary school now. Part three of Money Talks, but can you keep up? So we're going to be talking about financial reporting today. In part one, we talked about budgeting and for nonprofits and social enterprises. Part two, we talked about financial strategies, and again today in part three, we're going to be talking about financial reporting. So, we're going to explore financial reporting requirements for nonprofits and social enterprises, including tax filing and regulatory compliance. This includes best practices for record keeping, financial statements preparation, and other reporting obligations. I kind of like this because it has come up a lot lately. Okay, with some of the funding sources that are out there, and they're asking for more and more detailed things. So
Mhm,
this is a really good topic. So
mhm.
if this is your first time catching us, my name is Tracy V. Allen. I am the owner of Impactors Management Group, where I help social impact businesses to design, build, and fund their social ventures so that they can live the lifestyles that they desire while impacting their communities.
All right, and I'm Ty Boone. I'm owner of Ty Boone Enterprises. I work mainly with nonprofit organizations, helping them to move from startup and struggle to sustainability and success. Yeah, but you mess with these people's money, you're gonna go to jail.
Hashtag clank clank.
It's crazy. Like that was the first introduction to me for me to you. You're like, I was like, I like that because you know what? If you mess with these people's money, you're gonna go to jail. And a lot of that
Definitely.
comes up with financial reporting, right? When
And
things
orange is not the new black.
orange is not the new black.
Mm.
Impact is the
Like we
new
said
black.
last time, impact is the new
Repeat
black.
after us. Orange is not the new black. Impact
Yeah.
is the new black. And you want to get an orange really quickly, mess with these people's money. Like, this is not your money. Whether you're, if you're a social enterprise and you're saying that you have a social cause, you're funding for that social cause, it's supposed to be dedicated to that social cause, right?
Right.
You're a nonprofit organization. The funding for that is for that. And I think, and Tracy, you can speak to this. I think that in social enterprise businesses, people confuse it and they commingle a lot because they
And
don't
I talk about
understand.
that a lot. I talk about not
Tell people
commingling.
about that because
Yeah, I have to talk about when people want to have social enterprises or people are social entrepreneurs. I like to tell them it's almost like you're running two businesses. You have a
Mhm.
for-profit business and you also have a nonprofit business. It's not a nonprofit, but you're running it should be ran like a nonprofit. So that component of your business should have the same amount of transparency as as if you were running a nonprofit. So you don't necessarily have to tell people how much you make in your for-profit business, but the social component, whatever you're doing on the social component, should be transparent, because if you're going to ask people to contribute, because we change the terminologies when we're dealing with social enterprises. So when you ask people for money as a nonprofit, you're asking them to give you a donation. The word donation is synonymous with nonprofits. When you are a social enterprise, because you're a for-profit business and you're going to be asking for money, I changed that word and you're asking for a contribution. And then people, if they don't understand, they will ask you what that means, but you don't ever say donation, because donation means I'm going to get a tax document at
Mhm.
the end of the year. So you don't want to
Mhm.
confuse them. But yes, you cannot commingle those funds. If you're saying that you are going to take a percentage of what you make in your for-profit business and give it to your nonprofit, and you need to have 70 separate accounting, sorry, for that portion of the cause component or the nonprofit that you decided to align yourself with, so we can see the transfer of funds and then we can see how the monies were spent on that portion of the business. So
Mhm.
let's say you are, give me something, Ty. Um,
I sell shoes, and I said I was gonna give
yes, that's a good one. So you sell shoes, and your social cause is to provide shoes to people in circumstances
you
where they
don't.
can't buy shoes.
Yeah.
So you can have a model which is called buy one, give one model, right? A lot of companies, social enterprise businesses use that model, like Waverly glasses. They use it. Tom's, they use that buy one, give one model. So if you say that you're going to, every time somebody buys a pair of shoes from you, you're going to give away a pair of shoes. We need to see that this purchase was made over here, and that purchase transacted into that giving model. So if you're telling me that in your for-profit business you sold 100 pairs of shoes in 2022, then I should see 100 pair of shoes being given to people in the community. And you should have record keeping. That's one of the things we talked about here that we're going to discuss, is records of how that transacted. So what was that, those shoes given to 50 girls and 50 boys, or was it 60 girls and 40 boys? What age range were they? You have to keep good records, because when you go to do your taxes, you're gonna have to account for that, right? So just making sure that you're keeping good accounting records. And if you're not good with record keeping, you need to hire somebody to do it, because this is not a joke. You really need to keep good records.
And stop being stingy. Hire people who, if that's not your
Who
thing,
knows what they're doing.
hire somebody whose thing it is, right?
Yeah.
I think the other week, Tracy, we were talking with somebody, and I can't remember what it was about, but I know they were saying, and we were trying to help them, and they were saying, hey, we paid for something and we don't have a record of. You remember this conversation we had with somebody, and they were saying they were paying salary, or somebody was paying salary from their business.
Yes.
Yeah, and we were trying to get them together, like, okay, if this is a donation from, or if this is a contribution from this business, it needs to go to this nonprofit. If this is a nonprofit, and then it needs to come out. A lot of people don't know that, and you have folk, especially in the nonprofit world, who are, they say, well, I paid for this out of my pocket, and I'm like, well, what do you mean? What do you mean you paid for it out of your pocket? Well, I use my whatever. Did you first deposit this into your nonprofit account? Did you give it to your nonprofit and then pay it out as an expense? Oh no, we didn't do that.
No. Yeah, I remember that case clearly, and I had to tell the person, there is nothing you can do to rectify that situation right now, because she did not have any paper trails from her for-profit to the nonprofit to signify that her for-profit was acting in the capacity of a social enterprise. She had no paper trail. So the reporting and the record keeping is extremely important, because if you don't have it, then you could say whatever you want, but it's just not there.
Right? We don't know, because you wouldn't know if it's not documented. It didn't happen, right? So how do you account for that in accounting? Yeah, what is that? And when you're, even things like, and I don't know if we're going to talk about this or not, your income statements,
that's part of it. Yep. Income statements, profit and loss. Yeah.
And I mean, and people are not tracking.
Oh, the income statements. That is something I've been noticing, that people have no idea what that is. Because there've been a few grants lately that have asked for income statements. Actually, I've been doing, it's not even grants, it's more certification, right? So minority business owner certification, disadvantaged business owner, and they ask for that. And, my clients are like, what?
What is that?
What is that? And I mean, granted, you don't know what you don't know, but that is something that you should know as a business owner. So I have been doing a lot of teaching on that particular subject, like, making sure you always have your profit and loss. We even talked about that, not keeping up with it sometimes.
Oh, Tracy, I forgot. I let that one slide.
Right? Not even keeping up with it sometimes, but you have to know how to do it, so that even if you're not keeping up with it and you need to pull it together for something, you know exactly how to go about doing that effectively and efficiently.
Systems you could use to help you with it if you're, on a smaller scale. But if you don't know what you're doing, hire somebody to help you with this stuff. Things like audits. I run into that a lot with grants. And folk are like, well, can we work around? These people don't know you. They don't want you to work around. If they ask you for an audited finance, you need to produce an audited finance. Not something you looked at yourself because you don't know what you're looking at. And so, but a lot of that kind of has things, 990s for your nonprofit, if you're going to do that kind of thing, making sure that someone is doing them correctly, that you're not doing that postcard if you're trying to get grants, not doing the 990N if you're trying to get grants, but having someone who you could work with to help you with those things.
And just
Financial.
filing your taxes as a social enterprise, whether it's on a Schedule C or you're filing as an S Corp or you have already incorporated as a C Corp, whichever component it is making sure that you're filing your taxes, keeping up with your stuff, paying your taxes. I've had many clients who've owed like $50,000 in taxes and they can't figure out how to pay it off. And so you don't want to get yourself into that type of situation. So just making sure you're keeping good financial reports will save your life and your business.
Yep. And don't wait until, until everything gets to be chaotic and you're like, oh, now I'm in trouble. Now I gotta go. Now I gotta go do this.
Yep. Yeah.
Schedule these things because there's
Exactly.
a date for everything that something is due.
Yeah. And so as usual, if you have any other questions, anything that we can clear up for you, drop your comments in the comment section and we will be sure to answer it for you. So until next time, guys, bye. Stay tuned for part 4 of the series. This is the final part. It's going to be called Financial Planning and Forecasting because, yeah, you need it. Okay. Bye, everyone.